Greetings, friends. Reaching 70 feels like a milestone I never pictured arriving at so fast. One day you're 20, brimming with energy and dreams. And then suddenly you wake up in a body that shifts daily, carrying decades of memories. Life transforms, priorities realign. And as I've aged, I've noticed something unexpected about myself. I've begun steering clear of people. This wasn't always me. I used to thrive in social settings, constantly surrounded by loved ones, attending gatherings, pitching in locally, and being the go-to person everyone trusted. But somewhere along the journey, a shift happened. At first, I figured it was just my quirk, but now I suspect it's more widespread than I thought. Let me share why. If this video resonates, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss what's next. At 70, time feels more valuable than ever. I catch myself pondering it in ways I never used to. It's not just the clock ticking or the pages of the calendar flipping. It's the stark awareness that time has limits. In my youth, it seemed boundless. A vast river stretching toward some distant, unseen shore. I squandered it without care, trusting more would always come. Hours lost to small talk, fleeting connections that faded, and tasks offering little joy or purpose. Back then, it didn't seem to matter. Now, though, every second feels precious, a treasure I refuse to waste. Time's no longer just a measure, it's a presence, sometimes gentle, sometimes stern. Always nudging me to value what remains. It's there in the stillness of morning when I sit with my coffee, watching the sunrise, relishing the warmth against my palms. It's in the afternoon walks, long and steady, where I feel the leaves crackle beneath my feet, thankful for legs that still carry me. And it's in the evenings, settled in my favorite chair, sifting through memories of a life richly lived. I once packed my days with people and bustle, convinced that busyness equaled fullness. But I've discovered the reverse holds true. It's not about how much you cram in or how many faces fill your space. It's about the depth of those moments and bonds. Now, I'm deliberate about where my time goes and who shares it. I'd take a quiet exchange with someone who gets me over a noisy crowd where I'm just another face lost in the tide. The honest truth, I guard my time fiercely now, knowing it's a gift that won't come again. When you're young, you believe tomorrow always waits to mend an error, revive a bond, or pursue a vision. But as years pile up, you realize tomorrows dwindle more than you'd care to acknowledge. This doesn't leave me gloomy. It turns me purposeful. I no longer squander hours on empty drama, superficial chats, or duties clashing with my principles. Instead, I channel my time into what genuinely counts, my well-being, my joys, and those who brighten my days. There's a deep calm in this change. Guilt no longer haunts me when I decline what doesn't enrich me. I feel no urge to justify choosing quiet over crowds. It's not that connections lack worth. Truthfully, I treasure them more now. But my lens has shifted. I crave authentic ties, rich dialogues, and days that feel whole, not merely packed. Time, at this point, also means releasing, shedding regrets over lost moments, dropping grudges once deemed vital, and abandoning the drive to do everything. I've learned it's fine to ease up and just exist. There's no hurry now, no sprint to some end. The finest instants don't lie in bold triumphs but in small, hushed delights, a beloved tune, a soft wind, a genuine chuckle. Yes, time grows more cherished than ever, yet it also deepens. I've quit racing after it and begun relishing it. In that shift, I've uncovered a peace I never thought possible. At 70, I refuse to fritter away a single breath. Not from fear of it ending, but because I finally grasp its true worth. Relationships evolve, And we do too as decades roll by. They shift in ways you might not foresee. Some strengthen, enriched by shared pasts and mutual insight, while others drift off gently, like a book set aside, untouched again. At 70, I've accepted that not every bond endures forever. And that's alright. What I've realized is the ones lingering now often matter most. In youth, relationships defined me. I encircled myself with friends, co-workers, neighbors, and passing faces, always striving to sustain ties and belong to something bigger. I was the one tracking every birthday, appearing at every occasion, laboring to please all. But with time, I saw how much strength it drained to uphold bonds that didn't always feed me back. Life naturally trims your social branches. People relocate, grow occupied, or shift in ways that strain closeness. Some ties break with pain, others dissolve with silence. I once took these endings to heart, questioning what I might have altered to cling tighter. Now I see that life's path tugs us each in unique directions. People enter your world for a purpose, a phase, or a lifetime, and discerning which brings me calm. Yet it's not only others who evolve. We transform too. I'm no longer who I was at 40, or even 60. My focus has realigned. I cherish simplicity, kindness, and genuineness more than ever. Patience for drama or lopsided bonds escapes me now. I once believed being there for all defined me as a solid friend or kin. But I've learned true connections flow both ways. They nourish, not exhaust. Some of the deepest insights about relationships emerged from pain, trust shattered by those I held dear, loyalty unreturned, or kindness exploited. These moments scarred me, yet they revealed how to draw lines, spot warnings, and above all, honor my own peace. Now I offer my time and spirit to those who elevate me, not drag me low. Still, even with this wisdom, a twinge of longing sometimes stirs for bonds that slipped away. A friend once close as kin, unspoken to for years, a relative whose road veered elsewhere. Reflecting on those ties feels bittersweet. But I've grown to treasure them for what they were, fleeting, precious chapters that carved me into who I stand as today. Trust grows trickier with age. The older you get, the more you grasp how delicate it is. In my youth, I trusted freely, convinced of people's goodness and motives. But as life unraveled, betrayal struck in ways that made me wary. Trust, once broken, rarely mends fully. And at 70, I'm far choosier about who nears my core. It's not bitterness or resentment I harbor neither. But time has shown me caution's worth. Through the years, I've been wounded by folks I never thought would betray me. A friend more drawn to what I offered than who I am. A business ally who favored their profit over our joint dream. Even kin who, for reasons I might never grasp, drifted away in ways that left me pondering what broke. These moments handed me a crossroads: shut myself off completely or greet new bonds with both openness and care. I picked the latter, though that wariness carries a cost. When someone fresh steps into my world, my gut doesn't leap to thrill or wonder. It leans toward doubt. I catch myself asking, what's their aim? What drives them? It's not a stance I relish, but one forged by need. Yet I've also discovered trust isn't solely about others. It's about relying on yourself, heeding your gut when something feels off, trusting your strength to step back from harmful souls no matter their tenure in your life, and believing it's fine to shield your spirit, even if that means holding space. Still, trust remains a tangled thing. In recent times, I've crossed paths with people who've nudged my belief in goodness back to life. If only a touch, a gentle stranger aiding me when I fumbled at the shop, a neighbor popping by during rough storms. These instances whisper that while trust comes slower now, it's not out of reach. At this point in life, I've made peace with trust as a fragile dance. It's not about walls too tall for anyone to scale. It's about crafting gates sturdy enough to block pain yet ajar enough to welcome love, kindness, and ties when they ring true. In the end, trust and relationships have grown simpler within their intricacy. I hold dear the handful I trust without reserve and keep my lines clear with those yet to prove worthy. Though I may never trust as freely as I once did, the bonds I nurture now shine even brighter. At 70, that feels like a treasure worth cradling. The world seems altered now. At 70, the world strikes me as an entirely altered realm from the one I knew growing up. It's not merely the speed of life that's shifted. It's the core essence of how we engage with one another. Sometimes I glance around and ponder where the warmth and ease of human bonds have drifted. I came of age when neighbors felt like kin. We knew names, dropped by uninvited for coffee, and lent a hand before anyone needed to ask. Families came together often, not from duty but from real love and delight. Those ties carried a natural flow, a belonging that demanded little strain to uphold. Yet now, it feels like everyone's endlessly occupied, pursuing something. Success, acclaim, or just survival amid today's demands. Visits between people have faded, talks rush by as if we're all sprinting against a hidden timer. Even family ties sometimes seem frail, stretched thin by miles and emotions alike. Technology, with all its gifts, has fueled this drift. Don't misunderstand, I'm thankful to video chat with my grandkids or keep up with old pals online. Still, I can't shake the sense that these screens build walls between us. Nothing replaces sitting face to face, catching the subtleties in a voice, or basking in someone's nearness. The ceaseless buzz of alerts, updates, and scrolling feeds can overwhelm. It's like the world's grown louder yet more lonesome all at once. There are times I yearn to unplug, silence the phone, and slip into the stillness of my own mind. Then there's the question of values. Today's world often feels foreign. Its priorities so distant from what I learned to hold dear: honesty, kindness, community. Those ideals haven't vanished completely, but they're tougher to spot amid the clamor of self-focus and relentless rivalry. I find myself craving the past's simplicity. Not because I shun progress, but because I miss the richness of true connection. Back then, relationships stood firm, less about give and take. People weren't always distracted, and there existed a quiet agreement that time shared held value. Still, I know nostalgia can cast the past in gentler hues than it might merit. Life wasn't flawless, and every age brings its struggles. Yet as the world presses on, I've found myself pulling back. Not from resentment, but from a wish to cling to what still rings true and vital to me. Solitude isn't loneliness. In my youth, I saw being alone as being lonesome. The idea of an evening solo felt intolerable, as if solitude was a thing to dodge at all turns. But now I've learned it's not to be dreaded. It's to be prized. A vast gap lies between alone and lonely. Loneliness is a void, a yearning for ties that seem beyond grasp. Solitude, though, is a richness, a calm satisfaction in your own presence. At 70, I've realized some of life's sweetest moments spring from simply pausing, letting the world slip away as I anchor in the now. Through solitude, I've reclaimed the delight of quiet joys, sitting with tea by the window, watching birds dance at the feeder, feeling sun warm my face on a morning stroll, hearing a fire snap on a cool night. These bits, though modest, brim with a serenity no packed hall or lively gathering could match. Solitude's also carved out room for reflection. At this point in life, memories serve as both balm and guide. I catch myself drifting back to past moments. Not from remorse, but from thankfulness for the chapters that molded me. In the stillness of my own mind, I've found peace with things I once wrestled to comprehend. This doesn't mean I've fully severed ties with the world. I still delight in my grandchildren's glowing faces when they stop by, in reconnecting with old pals, or pouring effort into causes close to my heart. Yet those bonds carry deeper weight now, chosen freely, not demanded. I no longer feel pressed to accept every invite or cling to ties that sap my spirit. Solitude's also sharpened my gratitude for the relationships that endure. When I'm with others, I'm truly there, relishing our shared time, unhurried, undistracted, just basking in the simple joy of togetherness. However fleeting, I believe solitude reveals a self-love no outside applause can match. It proves your value isn't linked to the crowd around you or a packed schedule. It's in those hushed instants when you see you're whole, just as you stand. At 70, I've come to view solitude not as a mark of isolation, but of resilience, a decision to retreat from clamor, guard your calm, and center on what counts. In that choice, I've unearthed a joy richer and steadier than I ever dreamed. Why do I sidestep people now? At this point in life, stepping back isn't rooted in spite or grudges. It's about serenity. After 7 decades of offering, growing, and sometimes aching, I've realized not every bond is built to endure, nor every link worth the strength it demands. It's a truth both liberating and tender, one I've accepted not from sorrow, but from need. For much of my life, I put others ahead. I poured out my time, my vigor, my soul, often asking little in return. I longed to be liked, to be useful, to be the rock others leaned on. And for years, that felt fitting. I flourished in being wanted, in standing by people, in being the firm grip they could trust. But life has its way of showing you where your limits lie, even if it takes ages to heed the teaching. I've been betrayed by those I relied on, wounded by ones I adored, and exhausted by bonds that demanded far more than they offered. There were moments I overlooked warning signs, so eager to find goodness in someone. There were times I lingered in places that eroded my joy, thinking that's what loyalty demanded. Now at 70, my vision's sharper. Stepping back from people doesn't signal I've lost faith in humankind, it shows I've learned to guard my own peace. I no longer feel bound to sustain toxic ties or dive into scenes that hollow me out. I've swapped the clamor of social duties for the stillness of purposeful solitude, and I've never known such calm. I steer clear of folks who drag chaos into their lives and mine. I dodge those who center everything on themselves, who never wonder how I'm faring or care much for my reply if they bother to ask. I sidestep people who treat my kindness as a given, assuming it's boundless. And above all, I avoid setups that shrink me below my true self. This isn't to say I've sealed myself shut. I still treasure the bonds that count, the friends and kin who've weathered time's trials, who show up not from need but from heart. Those links are holy to me, and I tend them with all the affection I still hold. But I no longer feel driven to spread a broad web. A tighter, richer circle suits me fine. In a way, pulling back from people has deepened my fondness for them. When I share time with others now, it's because I genuinely choose to, not from duty. The talks grow fuller, the instants more lasting, because they're picked, not pressed. Does this ring a bell? I frequently ponder if others my age share this sentiment. Am I alone? Or does time naturally sharpen your selectivity? Do life's letdowns and betrayals nudge us all to shield our hearts more tightly, to place peace above everything? Looking back, I see much of my younger days spent striving to fulfill others' hopes. I aim to be all things to all people, a steadfast friend, a dependable partner, a nurturing kin. But as years rolled by, I noticed how draining that became, how little of me remained in the end. Now I've quit apologizing for guarding my time and strength. I've shed guilt over picking solitude instead of socializing. And I've ceased questioning if something's off with me for craving room to breathe, think, and just exist. If you're in your 60s, 70s, or past, perhaps you've found yourself making life choices. Maybe you've begun stepping back from bonds that no longer lift you, or scenes that sap rather than satisfy. Maybe you've seen you prize depth over breadth in those you keep close. It's no simple shift. Sometimes it feels like releasing pieces of yourself. But here's the truth. This life stage is about dropping what no longer suits. It's about carving room for peace, delight, and what truly counts. If this strikes a chord, know you're not solitary. There's no guidebook for this stretch of life, no one-size-fits-all path. Some flourish in wide social webs well into their later years, and that's beautiful for them. But if, like me, you find solace and strength in tighter, richer ties, that's equally true. At 70, I've learned it's fine to release what no longer works, to put yourself first, to shield your calm, and to shape life your way. In that, I've uncovered a liberty I never knew, a freedom to be wholly, boldly me. So if you catch yourself drifting from people or leaning towards solitude more, don't view it as a deficit. See it as a win. It's a treasure to craft a life that fits you, even if it strays from others' molds. Here's to this life phase, a season of reflection, blossoming, and the bravery to live genuinely. May we each discover the calm we're owed. Embracing this phase at 70, I've begun to view life not as a string of finales, but as a chain of fresh starts. Every stage carries its own teachings, trials, and grace, and this one stands apart yet equal. This life chapter, with its gentle simplicity and richer pondering, feels like a peak, a moment to welcome who I've grown into and release what no longer holds weight. In youth, you often race with a haste, a ceaseless urge to do more, accomplish more, become more. A restlessness propels you, sparked by the notion that endless chances lie ahead. But with age, that agitation dims. You quit pursuing what's beyond and start treasuring what's near. It's not surrender, it's redirecting your gaze. This phase centers on simplicity. On relishing the fleeting bits that often slip by unseen, morning rays spilling through the glass, a grandchild's giggle, the cozy grip of a dear one's hug. These instants ground me, recalling what truly matters. It's also about reflection. At 70, I catch myself gazing back on the life I've walked. Not with sorrow, but with thanks. There were victories that swelled my chest, missteps that built my grit, and pains that carved me in ways I couldn't grasp then. Each moment, however slight, has threaded the fabric of my days. Yet this chapter isn't only backward glances. It's forward ones too. A soft thrill hums in knowing I've still got time to craft, to learn, to stretch. It's a season to chase what lights me up. Be it tending a garden, diving into a fresh pastime, or just pausing to be still. One of the loveliest pieces of this phase is the liberty it offers. The liberty to release expectations, those heaped on by others and those I've stacked on myself. I no longer feel pressed to prove a thing or chase some vague mark of triumph. Instead, I've welcomed the notion that just existing suffices. This chapter's also shown me the weight of saying no. No to duties that sap me, no to bonds that no longer enrich, and no to the strain of being all things to all people. Through this, I've cleared room for what counts most: peace, love, connection. Aging brings a sort of bravery, a readiness to live boldly and without apology. I no longer dread judgment for my paths or misreading of my deeds. At 70, I've claimed the right to put my wellness first, to voice my truth, and to shape life my way. Gratitude marks this phase too. Gratitude for the days I've walked, the souls I've cherished, and the memories I've woven. Gratitude for the resilience that bore me through dark spells and the delight that brightened the sweet ones. Gratitude for simply still standing, with more life to taste, and lessons to glean. So what's embracing this chapter really about? It's accepting what's behind without gripping it tight. Welcoming the now with wide arms. And peering ahead with hope. It's spotting beauty in the everyday. Treasuring the ties that hold meaning. And shedding all that dims peace. It's not always smooth. There are flashes of solitude. Of pondering what's next. Of yearning for the faces and spots that once colored my world. Yet even then, a gentle strength whispers I've come this far. And within me lies all I need to press on. At 70, I've learned life hinges less on grand peaks and more on the small, rich instants that fill our hours. This chapter, though distinct from those before, carries no less weight. In many ways, it seems like the truest, most sincere, and calmest stretch of my path. Embracing this phase isn't about bowing to limits. It's about rejoicing in potentials. It's about valuing the life I've walked while staying receptive to what lies ahead. And above all, it's about living richly, fully, and boldly, one day at a time. Closing reflections. At 70, life's shown me it's less about how much you accomplish or possess and more about the depth of what you hold dear. The instants, the bonds, and the calm you harbor inside. I've uncovered joy in simplicity, strength in solitude, and satisfaction in centering on what truly counts. Stepping back from people isn't rooted in spite. It's about safeguarding the peace I've fought to secure. If you're treading a like road, know it's fine to pick what rings true for you. This phase is ours to welcome in whatever form brings us deepest ease. Here's to living genuinely, and treasuring every breath we're granted. Take care. And thanks for joining this ride. These insights aim to spark you to live wholly and truly. I'd love your thoughts. Pause to ponder and share one lesson you've gained and aim to weave into your days. Let's lift each other on this quest to embrace these realities. If this video struck a chord, drop a comment with a 1, if not, a 0 works too. Your input matters to us. Don't skip liking, sharing, and subscribing to our YouTube channel for more like this. Thanks for tuning in. And here's to shaping life your way.